with my good friend and colleague, Paul Kirschbaum. I'm Leslie Wooten. It's 10:33. Let's get into it. Today's topic is empowerment. And I know it's a big word, see it a lot on LinkedIn. I hear it a lot from people that say they are empowered or not empowered or wish they could empower. And Paul and I have just gone over a couple series on hiring talent. And we even talked about if you should bring on a chef or not. That's a good one. Check that out. And this is once you have staff, like, do you empower them? How to empower them? We're going to go through all that. So first question, Paul, yes or no? It is vital for a business to have several decision makers.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yes.
Several decision makers?
Several. I mean, like several was like, I mean, if you have different shifts, managers, and I mean, you have what, 3 or 4 managers, 5 or 6, depending on the size. You have a chef, a sous chef, maybe a catering chef. Yeah, several. Yes.
So as an owner, some people on your team have to be decision makers.
Yes.
Yep. What's the right ratio? Is it a number of managers to workers, or is it a schedule? When do you know that there's a decision maker, and do you have multiple on a shift, or do you have one a shift? What is it?
Minimum one a shift.
Okay, somebody on the shift has to be a decision maker.
Yes.
Okay.
From the house.
Yeah.
I don't want a chef coming out from the back and making a decision on a customer complaint.
I would if they're a manager, but yeah, I get it. You got to have, stay in your lane kind of mentality. Can everyone be a decision maker?
No.
No? Come on. I thought that's what empowerment was. Empowerment's that everybody makes the decision.
Sure. Go ahead. Good luck with that.
Good luck with it. So let's consider what empowerment is and what it isn't. Empowerment is providing trust to your employees and allowing them to be decision makers. Like, at the heart of it, it's allowing them to be decision makers. But empowerment is not giving away the keys to the business and opening up free for all where your employees act as the owner of the business. I've been in scenarios where people are like, you're the owner. I'm like, no, they're not. Why would you tell them that you're the owner? Or why would you tell your employee to be the owner? Like, they're not. You're putting them in an odd position to make decisions and take accountability that is beyond where they should be. And I know a lot of owners that don't want to do that. And it's still your business at the end of the day. Fair?
Yeah. Very fair.
What happens if you tell everybody okay, you're the owners now?
You'll be given a lot of 2-for-1s. People will be drinking for free. Your dram shop insurance will be canceled, and you'll probably be broke.
Yeah, it's a fine line to define, and I want to make sure that we cover exactly what it means to empower your employees and what it doesn't mean. And for those who might be following along, wishing that they had more empowerment, like you are the employee, you're watching, and you're like, I'm micromanaged. I don't have any empowerment. We want to cover this topic to help you understand what your empowerment ultimately is and also what it isn't. So just in case you're like, I want to be a decision maker, I'm like, that's cool. And here's the steps to get there. We're also going to go over the steps to empower and turn your team into decision makers. But at the same time, we're going to cover what those guidelines are. So Paul, in your day, you've created a few menus, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, a few. Yes. At least 5.
Okay. So at least 5. Yeah. So let's say that it's your own business. You are the owner in my little scenario here. Would you just allow any cook any given day for any customer to change the menu how they see fit?
No.
No? They can't just add or take away an item that they liked or didn't like and created something?
No.
No?
No, thank you. Maybe the soup of the day. They can have the soup of the day.
And let's be clear. So the reason is not just that you put a bunch of recipes together. You create this theme. You create this guideline that fits the business model, that fits the P&L the way you need it to, that fits ordering. It works with your food service providers. It works in so many different ways that the menu is not just a collection of recipes. It's this thing that is part of the business. And Am I right or wrong that that's what you created? You didn't just create wings, you created something that goes with everything else.
Yeah, because I mean, most people, like, it's cross utilization. People
Mm-hmm.
that design the menu design it to make money,
Yeah.
and people just want to go their own wing and kind of make their own recipes and my own specials. You'd be surprised how many specials are not profitable. And this is not this is not just at a mom and pop kind of place. This is like regional chains that do an LTO, and then I'm like, number one is cannibalizing your menu, and number two, it's not profitable. Like, I mean, it makes okay money, but the margin is not as good as this on your menu, and the food cost is not good as this on your menu. So you can't give all that out to people. Just go ahead and go do it, because they don't have the experience to write a menu or write a profitable menu. It takes time.
Right. And I want to use that scenario, and thank you for saying that, because that's exactly my thought here, is that you have this idea as the owner, as the operator, as the manager, whoever it is, that no, it needs to go this way. Here's why I'm doing this. So let's take that same scenario where you've created this menu and you've got somebody on your team. And let's say that you've got the culinary team that understands the guiding principles that you put behind your menu. They understand why you put the items on the menu the way that you did. They understand how it works with the goals of the business model. They understand what operations has to achieve in order to make that menu work. They get it. And like it or not, they don't have any opinion as to what those guidelines are, right? You set those guidelines, but you know for a fact that they get it. They get it. They say, I understand why you did this. I understand why you did this. Now, they might have done something else, but it doesn't matter. They understand why you did it. Would you allow that team to make decisions in the moment following your guidelines and decisions that are for the benefit of the business as you laid them out? Would you let that team make decisions?
Absolutely. And then that's what the executive chef's job is to give them that SOP. You're allowed to do this. This is your world. Mm-hmm. And when they've earned that respect, I guess you could say, is when you know that your employee can do that, I'll let them run, because I know that they're going to probably do something that's creative, better, and then they're going to make sure that it's costed correctly, because it's be the first thing I'm going to ask and go, well, what's the cost? What's the margin? What are the hidden things that I don't know about, like labor? Is this going to crush the kitchen? Blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But they've earned that. And it's something that on both sides, A, I've trained them on it, and B, they've earned it. Because I might have let's say you have 10 staff members. I might only have 5 or 6. I will allow that to happen.
Sure.
Let them to make those decisions, but they know the why behind it. The other ones might be just new and learning the why behind it. And when they get there, they usually know, like, listen, you cannot make any decisions without going through me or the sous chef, manager, owner, somebody. But even then, if I'm not there, there's still somebody they got to kind of just say, hey, cool. There's a thumbs up.
Yeah. And within the guidelines that you set, these parameters, these standard operating procedures, this set of rules to govern your decisions by. And if I have this decision-making process, make the decision. You're going through the flow chart that you've been taught, and you know that the decision I make is in the best of mind for the business, for the customer, for the profitability, for everyone else on the team right now. And if all these things line up, make the decision. Because if you're considering all that, your decision is not going to be that wrong if it is wrong. If you thought about all that and it made sense, you're not going to be that far off. You're not giving away the house. You're not inconveniencing your fellow team members, and you're doing what's right for the guest. If you're considering all that, not just choosing it because you wanted to, you're making a good decision. Now, was it the same decision I would have made? I don't know, but at least I know you're making the decision with the right idea.
Yes, like they're not always gonna make the right decision. I'm not gonna penalize for somebody for taking all the information they have and making the best decision possible. That they think that, hey, I think this is within the guidelines, or pushing it a little bit. But with the information they have, making that decision, I'm not gonna be upset with somebody about that, even if it's wrong. Even if it's wrong.
Huge
because at
difference.
least they're taking all this in and making a decision. And if it makes the customer happy, and we get nicked a little bit on it, I'm okay.
Yeah.
If we make the customer happy and we get nicked a lot, okay, but it's a learning experience.
Correct.
If we make it a decision and we piss off the customer and get
Yeah.
nicked on both sides, then I'm pissed. So I think it's a little trust, a little bit of trust, but it's a little bit of, I want to empower them to do whatever they want, but to a point.
Within these guidelines. Yeah.
I don't lose my shirt.
Yeah. Because if I go to the employee who made the decision, I'm going to ask, why did you make this decision? Right or wrong, I'm going to ask, why did you make it? And they go, well, I considered what the guest was asking for. I considered the business model. I considered the theme of this spring's menu, and it fit into these things. I'm like, okay, I can at least see that. Even if I agree or disagree, I can see where they're coming from. And I want to thank them for making that effort. But if I go to somebody like, hey, why'd you make this decision? Like, I don't know. I'm like, okay, so you're not using any of the tools, resources, guidelines, anything that I've provided for you to make a decision. You can't be a decision maker. You can't even attempt it. I can't trust you to make a decision because you're not thinking through it. Because if you're trying to think through it and you use the guidelines, but not quite right, at least you're trying to follow it, you know?
Yeah.
So how difficult do you feel it would be to teach any given team, any team in a restaurant? How difficult is it to teach them the purpose, the vision, the focus of your operations to the point where you know that they understood it the way that you see it?
Depends on the person accepting said information.
Have they accepted it? Do they show it? How difficult do you think it is for a manager to teach all of it?
To teach it?
Yeah.
It's not that hard at all. It's actually pretty dang, no, I think it's pretty dang easy.
Wow. As a learning and development over here, I'm shocked. I'm like, that's so not easy.
No, the bigger picture is not easy.
To give them your vision, to give them
but to get somebody that will retain this information, that wants to, somebody that wants to learn the information, it is easy. For the masses, it's hard. But
that's why I said the entire
in the restaurant, there's always, it's pretty, within the first day, you know who those people that you can trust to make a decision are.
Sure,
it's
but I'm
not
not talking
hard.
about the people you know. I'm talking about how difficult is it to get your entire team empowered?
Oh, that's impossible.
Yeah,
Two different answers. Like, to get somebody to do it, no problem. Sure. To get the whole team to do it, impossible. I've never had a whole team that's been
not impossible.
It's impossible. Like, never say never. No. I'm saying never. Find me a restaurant that everybody's empowered, and then I will shut my mouth.
You give me the time, you give me the resources, I can do it.
I don't have the resources. You can
go to Disney World.
$5 in 30 minutes.
I bet you
can find somebody in Disney World, a host or somebody that's dressed as Mickey, and ask them, I had a bad dining experience. Can you please fix it? And see how that goes.
I bet you they would. Bet you they'd take the initiative. I worked with them. I worked with them. It's actually that experience working with Disney is a lot of what opened my eyes to how to help with empowerment, how to ensure that your team is empowered, and how to let go and trust, and how to go back and hold people accountable with that trust. So a whole lot there.
I agree. I mean, I think there's different levels, because I would empower my staff after training, my whole staff after training, to make a decision if they need to comp or void or do a manager function on a POS system or a customer that's unhappy or something came out wrong. They don't need a manager swipe to come through. But did maybe we start with a manager swipe? Yeah. And then did I say, hey, if we move to this system, it was a training system. Like, we didn't just say, hey, good luck. You can comp everything you want. But I wanted my staff to comp what they thought they should comp.
Well, I totally agree.
Yeah. We had rules. Like, if we get over 5% of sales, there's an issue. If it's around 1 to 2%, okay, depending on how much sales we do that day, I get it. But I would love to empower them to do everything, but there's certain levels of where I'm going to allow them to go. I'm not going to let the staff switch shifts without talking to a manager.
Sure.
Right.
Sure. Because even what we've done with staffing is you've put aces in the places of where you need them to be, and you don't want to be shortchanged on a Friday night, and you don't want to be without talent on a Monday or a Tuesday when, one person's running a bigger section. You got to make sure that one person's capable of doing it. So yeah, you don't want them just letting go and coming back. But at some point, you need them to make decisions to make your life easier and to make sure that the customer has a better, faster experience. Because sometimes the guest response has to do with the timing of it. And if they have something simple happen that needs to be taken care of, but that server's like, oh, I can't do anything. And then it takes them 5 minutes to find a manager and 10 minutes for that manager to get out there and 5 more minutes to hear the same story again. It took 20 minutes to get that resolved. And I guess is like, you know what, you should have taken care of this 20 minutes ago. Simplest thing ever. I'll never forgive you because it's cold fries or whatever it might be. Your team has to be able to take care of certain decision making on the floor, and you've got to make sure that you've given them what it is to make those decisions, whether it's integrity of the food, the experience of the guest, giving back to the local community. You, the owner, the operator, the manager, you have to first demonstrate what it is you're looking to accomplish with your operations. You've got to show them, and then you've got to give them the opportunity to prove that they understand. Like you said with the example of just swiping for comps and voids, that, hey, I'm comping this and I'm doing this for this reason. Hey, I'm voiding this because here's how it is still in inventory and here's how this is working. That you're explaining to them what's going on, and then you get to the point where you're asking them, all right, you tell me why it's comped or voided, and then you tell me why you want to do this for the guest, and asking them why they're making the decisions and steering them in the direction to align with the path you're trying to lead them down. And once you see that they're able to do what you were trying to demonstrate at the beginning, you're there. And your path, your vision, your business, it's not easy, Paul. It's not easy. But
no,
I would argue all day long, it's not impossible. It is not impossible.
Gonna stick with my impossible part. I'm not saying all of it. Now, I think you get 90%, you get 95%, you're never gonna have 100%.
I think you could get 100%. I mean, call me. Let's get it figured out.
If I come across a place, and I hit 300 restaurants a year, if I come across a place that I think 100%, I will text you and I will send you a case of lobsters. Just a whole bunch of damn lobsters live, just floating around.
I do not want you to send me a case of lobsters. I'd rather you have a case of lobsters, invite me over, and make me one. Like, I don't know what to do with a case of lobsters. No, I need to go to your place for that.
I'll invite you up. I'll pay for the flight, and you pay for the lobsters.
Hey,
I think I'll probably win on that one.
There we go. Perfect. So, I mean, obviously there's going to be mistakes along the way. Somebody's going to misinterpret your direction. And like we said, if they've got the guidelines in mind of why they're making the decision and they don't do it exactly the way that you did it, that's got to be okay. Because that's the first step into empowering your team, is that trust and that accountability. They make a decision, ask them why they did it. Find out the reason why. And if the reason why aligns with the guidelines you gave, you've got to give some credit there, even if it wasn't the same decision that you would have made. You've got to give some credit that they're using your guidelines, because that's what you need them to do. Let them do their jobs, empower them. Can you imagine what it does for the feeling of the individuals on your team if you attempt it?
If it's done right, it can be amazing. I mean, personal. You said it. That's why I pointed my fingers, like accountability.
Yeah.
Personal accountability. I mean, I read a book that's all it talked about, and I think it was QBQ. I can't remember the author, and Miller. I might, and I don't want to butcher it, but
yeah,
it was an easy, simple book to read, and I sat there. I was like, holy crap! Like this, like I use this in my parenting skills.
Yeah.
It's like, almost the why behind everything. It's personal accountability. If you give them it the correct way and train them, because you can't just say, good luck. What do you expect them to do? They don't know what they're supposed to do. You got to train them, like you said. I still stick by. I don't think you do 100%, but I think you could get most of your staff to do it. and make those decisions correctly. And then, but you have to have accountability too. It's like, hey, I'm gonna let you do this, but I'm going to ask you why a lot. I hope you don't mind that. I'm not going to yell at you and scream at you. I'm going to ask you, like, what was your thought behind this? And I want to talk about it because I understand your decision, but for the company at the time, it was not the right decision.
Right. And when you say, I don't know why I did it. Yeah.
Yeah. We're not in trouble. But if they go, I did it because we were packed to the gills. I thought that the loss of the $20 by turning that table, making the customer happy, no review, and bringing somebody in and get that table sat for somebody else, that it was worth the ROI. Then I'm like, okay,
cool, got it.
It might not have worked out that way,
sure,
but you thought it through.
Yeah. And how many times have you in the moment as a manager said, oh, here's what we're going to do. And then later you're like, damn it, I had that table in the back. I should have gone there.
I've done it all the time.
Oh,
I rethink everything I say every week, and that drives me nuts. Because there's something like I've said stuff a year ago. I look back, I'm like, that was wrong, and I'm okay with saying that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give you an example. You know the cooking show Good Eats, right?
Yeah.
So he has a new show called It's Good Eats Reloaded. And I'm not trying to plug anything. I'm just talking about it.
Sure.
In the beginning of the show, all he's going back is old. He started in '99. He's going back and stuff going, I screwed up. I should not have done that. Like owning up to the stuff that he did not do. He thought he did not do correctly, and he's like, "There's a new method now. There's a new style now." And I think that
things change.
Yes, but that's the point you're talking about. The continuing education. It's not a one-time training exercise.
No,
this is and I know it's not your favorite word. This is the restaurant culture. This is what you're trying to do for your staff and how you believe. And it's going to evolve and it's going to change rapidly. So you can't just do it one time and then or expect your other staff to train the exact same thing that you were trying to train over here, because it's going to lose its message.
This conversation is about empowerment, and I think we've outlined the difficulty but the attainability of empowering. But aside from empowerment, just think about the motivation that an owner or operator can put into the team just by sharing your outlook, just by talking about how you want the guest experience to be, talking about how important ROI is for you, how important it is to turn tables for food quality, just talking about that importance, something that's passionate for you, sharing that with your team, getting involved with your team, talking about the restaurant industry. It's actually incredibly motivating for your team, whether you're shooting for empowerment or not, whether you're shooting to turn them into decision makers or not, whether you're shooting to make your life easier, you are going to motivate them if they can see your vision. And I think that alone is huge to share with the team.
I agree. I think empowerment is a big buzzword, but so is transparency, but they're all legitimate. Because
it's not blind trust. Empowerment's not blind trust.
No,
that is not empowering. That's blind trust.
What do you feel about like an open book, management style where you show, or a restaurant where you show everything? You show your P&L, you share your P&L, you share your profit and loss. You don't go as far as your balance sheet, but you show everything. And
at some point, I think if you're sitting there talking about budgets and how much we sold on a Friday night to your Tuesday AM servers, that they don't care. They don't want to hear about if you made budget. They don't want to know that you made bonus. They don't care about that. Or they might care about that. That might be demotivating. I don't think they want to hear about quarterly budgets.
Because it is definitely a trend that places are being open book, where you have access to almost everything that the owner does.
I like the open book of here's what we're going for. Here's how to do this. Here's how to do this. Here's my decision making on this. Here's why we're doing this. Here's what's going into the menu for this and why we're opening a new location or why we're closing a location, whatever it might be. I don't know about open book being the books. That seems very Whole Foods.
I think the financial wise, it might be motivating if they know what the real margins are. Like, so if they knew how much the linen costs, if they knew how much certain things cost, that they would be more cognizant of maybe, hey, I don't need this extra towel, because I mean, we know towels is a trackable thing that we had in our office.
Mm-hmm.
We'd give the kitchen like 4 towels, and like, this is all you get per shift, because it costs money. So maybe if you had that, not every single detail, but if you had some operational costs, understand the labor costs, understanding COGS, and just, maybe that would even get some of your employees to be more.
I'm just picturing the restaurant that over the linen bin, it's like each of these linens is 13 cents. I'm like, that's your management style.
Hey, I used to run. We used to. This, don't tell anybody. Well, I'm doing.
I won't tell anybody. No, secret.
Don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody that I know. But we used to run them through the dishwasher, the towels that we ran out, the good ones. We threw the other ones away. We ran the good ones to the dish towel. We do the dishwasher, and then laid them up on the heat lamp so we could have extra ones. Yeah,
awesome.
That's pretty bad. Yeah,
awesome.
Nice.
Man. All right.
They were sanitized, I promise.
Sure. Yeah. All right. So, final question: what are the benefits of your team following the guidelines that you set out and you working to empower your team? How does that help you as a business owner?
It doesn't matter about that. It matters about the customer, and I think it makes the customer experience better.
Okay. And that, I think that customer experience directly impacts you as a business owner.
Yes, but
okay.
I think that's what I'm focused on, is if the reason I'm doing it is not to make my life easier. The reason I'm doing it is to make the customer experience better.
I love that. I also think you're making your life easier as a manager. So for those of you watching who are considering ways of empowering your team, maybe your managers tell you that you're empowered, but they still micromanage you, join in the conversation. For those of you who have struggled to empower your team, give us some feedback and leave us a comment, ask us a question, or share some of your successes and some of your maybe less than successes with others that are listening in. Leave us a comment. Be sure to follow the channel. Show some love. We'll keep coming back with strategies and insights to help you improve your operations. Thank you so much.
Thank you, people.